This is TWiT.
Yeah.
But I would say Project XCloud, right? We know Project XCloud was announced this week. It's coming to Windows PCs.
This is the streaming version of Xbox gaming. So all the work is done not on your computer, but on the server.
Right. And I know internally they're testing it on the Pro X. They don't expect people to go buy a Pro X to use this, but at the same time, they say it's a really nice experience if you do that. So that's coming in early 2020. You can stream your Xbox games, play Call of Duty on it. Is that a solution for all people? Probably not. Is it a solution for some people? Yeah, totally. Actually, it's going to be a really interesting alternative that gets around this, where you still can carry around a laptop that weighs 2 pounds and gets all day battery life, has LTE.
Should Apple, which has been rumored to be going to ARM, should Apple be watching this experience closely?
They're in a little bit better position because of the fact that they design their own.
They'll design
chips.
their own. Yeah.
And their chips are really impressive, and probably they're all 64-bit. Yeah, and they have the iOS ecosystem, right, and the iPad OS ecosystem. Yep. So in that sense, they're a little bit better positioned. Their issue is they need to get their stuff so it's more like a PC instead of iPhone apps on a larger screen. So they're coming from a different problem where Microsoft's trying to get their stuff a little bit more like iPhone apps, casual games, and all this kind of stuff. So they're both coming from different areas. But
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the industry's moving to ARM, right?
I like it that we're in an industry. For a long time, Intel was so dominant, that's all you had. Now we've got ARM, now we've got AMD back in the game. I think that's good.
Yeah. AMD is expected to have a really strong, 2020.
At CES, they're going to announce some really nice stuff. They've got a new 4000 chip for laptops. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Brianna.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, I think Microsoft is in a really interesting position with their streaming service. If you look at Google Stadia, which I got to play tomorrow this year. Yeah, they've got 15 games announced for it. I probably shouldn't say this, but I have friends of mine on the Xbox team, and they saw Stadia when they came out, and the lineup for it. They're working on Microsoft's streaming solution. They're like, woo! All right, we don't have to worry about that much.
Yeah, because games drive these platforms, and there's nothing.
Oh, of course it does. And I will be honest, you're making fun of it, but I'm the exact kind of person. I'm like, if I'm buying a Windows machine, I want Steam because there's a limit to how many games I can get to work on Mac. Yep. The Surface Pro X, I thought was the most interesting device to come out of that Surface event. The hardware looks great. The device looks great. I got the Surface Go, and I took it back because I'm like, there are too many compromises with speed on this.
Exactly
if you look at Xbox, it's got the infrastructure there to really bring forward a streaming solution that works on those kinds of devices. So I'm thinking about where Microsoft is going to be 5-6 years from now. And I can really imagine their streaming Xbox game service working well enough that you could say, okay, I can move to ARM, I can get that battery life, and I can play Civ when I need to do that. I just think it's really looking very promising.
So as a game developer, you're picking XCloud, Cloud X, whatever the hell it's called.
All the way.
Over Stadia, over any... and PlayStation, they bought Gaikai. They've got a streaming solution too, right?
It's not very good. The colors are off. It's still off a little bit with
the
Stadia.
The colors are off?
Look at it. The browns are very enhanced. It's more muddy than a lot of games. If you look at PlayStation now. Does that have to do with the streaming
technology? Why is that?
I assume it's like looking at a game through a filter, or like if you haven't cleaned your glasses. It's off. It's weird.
So Cloud X is going to be the way to go.
I think it has the most potential.
It'll be the last one to come out.
Yeah. And what I hear from game developers over and over, think about it from their point of view. You're asking, like an Ubisoft can go and say, okay, we're going to spend a couple $1 million porting over Assassin's Creed Odyssey to this because we're freaking Ubisoft, right?
Right.
And it's a game that already exists. But if you're asking a developer to bet on a platform when Google has such a long history of just destroying platforms in a very short amount of time, that's not something a lot of game developers are going to do. If you're talking about Xbox streaming, it's still x86. I assume it's going to work with the same tools if you're doing Xbox development. It's easier for the game dev pipeline, and it's an easier sell.
Brianna, do we? This is completely jumping back to Stadia, but do we know why they're going ahead with the launch if everything? Forget about the games. Like the controllers aren't working. Stadia Connect isn't going to be part of the launch. Cloud Play's got. Well, why are they going ahead if they could just?
Because they're Google.
Right. That's it.
Everything's in beta.
I think they don't understand. Like, gamers expect a reasonably polished experience on, if not day one, then close to it. It's exactly like you say. The controllers
wait a minute.
are a mess.
Now, let's be fair.
Yeah.
In the last 5 years, every massive AAA title has come out, been horribly buggy. The servers have crashed. I mean, I think gamers might be a little bit more used to failure on day one than you say.
But not with the system itself. If you're going and buying a Switch, on day one, you had a certain number of titles that you could play and enjoy. PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. Right. You expect that when you go plunk down that amount of money. The buy-in is less for Stadia, but it's not even about who buys it. It's about getting buy-in from the developers. Yeah, I literally have never met a game developer in my life that's like, I'm betting my company on Stadia.
Yeah.
That's just not happening.
Yeah, there's just too much competition. There's also, let's not forget, there's Apple. And you can make money in an iOS game pretty good, pretty easy.
Yeah.
So
Arcade is amazing.
with Google.
Arcade is great, isn't it? And you can play that on your Apple TV.
Mm-hmm. I think Google's issue also was just the way the messaging came out for this. So they announced it. And I admit, like, when they announced it, I was like, ooh, like, this could be a big deal, But then what happened was the details came out.
Yeah.
Over the next few months, little bits started trickling out. Oh, only 15 titles. Oh, it won't work on this hardware initially. Oh, it only works on the Pixel 3. And so and it won't work on your PC. Like, all these little, and so the story got worse and worse and worse. And that's usually not the way you want to do any kind of announcement, right? So it was about expectations, and I think expectations were a little bit of a mystery when they first announced it, but it looked pretty positive. And then as we got closer and closer to launch, it was just like one letdown after another. Now, they could still recoup from this. I think this is still early days, but I think Brianna's right here. I mean, the fact is, Microsoft's been thinking this. We started reporting on them doing cloud streaming and experimenting with it in 2013. That was our first story on it. So they've been thinking about this for a really long time and architecting it. And when you tied into the Xbox Game Pass and the low cost of entry and the options where you can stream from your console or from their cloud, it does have sort of a better story, I think. And they have Azure around the world. They're just kind of set up for this. But, I want Google to actually kind of do well here because I want to see the competition, go back and forth. I think gamers want that as well, as consumers will benefit from it. But right now, Stadia looks a little bit disappointing.
Sometimes I almost feel like these are more demos for the cloud infrastructure that Google and Microsoft can offer than the actual gaming experience. It's like, oh no, we can do scalable, massive networks. Look, and it's really it almost feels like Cloud X and other things are just a show off for Azure as opposed to
kind of. I mean, in a sense, they are. I mean, because I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft ends up selling Azure to other companies. There's even talk with Sony that they would help power Sony.
I think Apple's using it too. I mean, Azure is Actually, we'll get into that because there's some little fight going on over Jedi, which we'll get to in just a little bit. And I do, I'm glad because we have, Brianna's a game developer going way back, so we have Brianna's expertise. Stadia comes out tomorrow, though, doesn't it? Is that right? Did you get your Premier Edition yet, Karsten? Did it come yet?
It has not come yet.
Mine has not either. Is it going to come tomorrow?
They're shipping in waves.
Yeah. Some people are not actually going to be able to.
But I got the Premier first day.
Well, if you got it the first day, then it's if you ordered it the first day, then it's likely.
I didn't. You did, right? You ordered it right away.
No, I didn't even order it.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I don't. It's not something I
know Zach thinks it's stupid.
Yeah, Zach thinks it's really stupid.
Yeah.
Someone who will have it tomorrow and has had it for several days already is Jason Howell. So he will have a day one review.
We will have a day one review.
Yes.
Of Stadia.
Yes, we're gonna. Of
course, we have
Hands on Tech is going to have a.
We have more bandwidth than God in here. This is not a very good test. This is our 10 gigabit symmetric line. It works great.